will be. Yeah, Catherine. You might be able. But we're back. We're going to get underway. The issues. Catherine, you have to just give me a thumbs up that you can hear me. Yep, perfect. Right, so Caitlin's just gone off. She's going to let people who are ice, Michael sitting next to me. Throughout the presentation, you're first going to listen to Phil, who has about a 20-minute YouTube introduction about all things. Then what we'll do, we'll break off. So about our staffing, other things we're doing this year, and I'll hand over to Michael, hand over to Caitlin. Again, before we wrap up, we'll have some time for questions, but I'd like to think of those questions as we're going along and all that. So we'll start off now with Phil's introductory video, and once that's finished, we'll come back and go through the slides.
For all our families to know, and then we're going to finish with individual information sessions for each of our grade groups. I'm going to begin today with an acknowledgement of country. I'm going to acknowledge the Ngunnawal people, traditional custodians of the land where we are situated today. I'd like to acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and contribution they make to the life of Canberra and to our region. I also acknowledge all other First Nations people on whose land we gather. And now I'm going to begin with a Bible passage for our prayer, and this is a Bible passage that relates to our school theme for 2022. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Matthew's Gospel, 5 verses 1 to 17. Let your light shine. You are the light of the world. A city built upon a mountain cannot be hidden. Nor would someone light a lamp and then put it under a basket. Rather, it is placed upon a lampstand so that it may afford light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine so that it can be seen by others. This will enable them to observe your good works and give praise to your Father in heaven. This is the Gospel of the Lord. Holy Trinity, hear our prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. I chose Matthew's Gospels today because that, as I said, is the emphasis for our school theme for 2022, Let Your Light Shine. Last week in our Professional Learning Week, our staff spent some time together, unpacking this theme, praying together and reflecting on how we're going to really spend this year ensuring that our light shines and looking at ways that we can continue to enhance our community, continue to build on the beautiful values we have here, of course, Jesus' values and our IB philosophical values, and of course continue to be the best we can be to all in our community. This year, our annual improvement plan continues to focus on our 3 strategic goals that are in our school improvement plan for the last 3 years. This is our last year of our strategic plan. So our first goal, which looks at improving students' outcomes through the effective evidence for learning, this year we're going to continue to look at our teachers as capable assessment practitioners. We're going to continue to embed in all of our numeracy lessons the daily review. We're going to continue to look at growth in our data and ensuring that all our students are given the best opportunity to achieve the best that they can. We're going to develop and implement a new report for Holy Trinity based on our primary years program framework, especially looking at our approaches to learning. And we're going to, of course, continue with authentic communication with parents, looking at semester conferences and many other modes of communication, which I'll talk to later on today. Our second goal looks at empowering students to be actively engaged in learning. Obviously, we're going to be doing this by showing high quality teachers across the school. We're going to begin a new initiative this year on social emotional learning, which your students will talk to you about in the session after this. And we're going to continue inquiry pedagogy across the school, particularly with initiative in literacy in our
Can't hear anything. That's someone else's one. I can't hear.
Alrighty, everybody. Sorry about that. We're having a few issues with Phil's video, a few teething issues. We've got about 3 or 4 devices here trying to connect. People were able to listen at the start, but unfortunately, we've had a few issues with the sound. So what we're going to do after we're finished this evening is we're going to email you the link for Phil's video. So Phil speaks roughly for about 8 or 9 minutes, and then she passes on to Father John and then the head of the school board as well to give you a bit of update on all things school board. So what we might do now is we'll start going through the slides with you and talk about those as we go. All right, so this is our 3-4 team for 2022. I'm sure you know most of us. We've been around for a little while now. So Caitlin is in 3-4 green, and we have Rachel Goucher on Tuesdays. Michael is in 3-4 blue, myself in 3-4 white, and similar to Caitlin's classroom, we have Rose, who does Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then we have Lynn Pepper Budge, who is joining us on Thursdays. So our IB philosophy at Holy Trinity. So Holy Trinity, as you know, is an international baccalaureate school. Through this teaching model, we're able to design teaching and learning programs that are obviously really, really engaging. We do them as we come up. We don't ever write units of curriculum. They're always engaging. We always cover the Australian curriculum doing that. So we feel that's the best way. And obviously, you've chosen our school for that reason. Just going to go through quickly now and let you know who's in our leadership team, as well as our library team and our classroom support team. So these haven't changed too much. We've got Tracy Hanlon filling in at the moment as an acting REC. Obviously, Phil's our principal. Katie Smith is the AP. Kushla is the ELC director. And we have Brendan Pye, who's also doing Year 6 Red 3 days a week as well. And there's also a PYP coordinator. So the front office team, we obviously have Bureau in the front office, who's amazing. Catherine and Kathy and Penny. We also have someone new to the school this year, Gordana. And Gordana also helps out in our classroom support team led by Jane Foley. It's also fantastic to have Meg Milban back this year. She's a really, really great addition and has so much knowledge on so many things, and a really good team member for that classroom support team. We also have Kathy and Catherine out of the front office as well, who support Jane in that role. Library, Kate Mertz, and on a Monday we also have Simon Bugden, who takes library as well. And this year we also welcome Jenny Groom to the school, who's doing our music program. We have Kate Latigi, who specialises in 1-2 art. I've already spoken about Rachel, who is Caitlin's ICT release. And we have Antonia Rover, who's doing Italian as well for our specialist classes. Also, before we move on, after this meeting, we're also going to email out to you all. Our class teachers will email out some information, some more specific information around a whole bunch of things, and we'll email that at you to directly. Now I'm going to pass over to Michael, who's going to be talking about some school-wide initiatives, and then talking a little bit about structured word inquiry as well.
Hi team, how you going? So this year we've really taken initiative, actually as a school-wide initiative, to look at social and emotional learning. This is a very, very important asset to all the children, and it'll be linked to the approaches of learning which is embedded through the PYP programming. This teaches self-management skills and social skills. The new framework will see students go from ELC all the way through to Year 6, learning key social and emotional skills in a progressive continuum. In week 4 and 9 of each term, you'll see student learning being shared to you through our newsletters about what's happening through the social and emotional learning programs. Okay, so a couple of years ago, we started looking at word inquiry, and so in 2020 we commenced our word inquiry journey here at Holy Trinity, as we continued to explore ways we could ensure our pedagogy was true to our school's philosophy. In the simplest form, word inquiry is instruction that focuses on learning about structure of words through inquiry. We refer to this area as English orthography. The study of English orthography is not a program and as such cannot be labelled as if it were. Building a word conscious culture through fostering an interest and awareness about this, the structure and power of words is key to improving the student learning outcomes in spelling. Right from kinder, we show how exploring words and how they are connected to other words builds understanding and curiosity. The students see how the 3 interdependent threads, morphology, phonologically, and etymologically, work together at the centre of in a word-conscious classroom. During this year, 2022, we will endeavour to run some more information sessions about this initiative. Our new counsellor is Kate Worthington, and she is on site every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 9:30 and 2:30 through to 2:30. Information will be given in the newsletter about this service and the links for the referrals. And so, as you know, our school uniform, we have a school uniform policy, and you can find out more information about this on our website. But just some key points is that girls' hair or all students' hair must be neat and tidy, and the child's natural color must be conservative. Students may not have designs shaped into their hair. Hair length should be shoulder length. If it is longer than shoulder length, we do ask that hair to be tied up to reduce the risk of head lice. No jewelry is permitted other than a watch, and if your child has an earring, it needs to be a stud. With the uniform, particularly during the colder months, there is a plain navy parka which can be purchased through our school uniform shop, and an optional navy blue beanie worn during these months. If you send your child to school during the winter months as well, wearing extra clothing, please ensure like the scarves and gloves that they are navy blue as well. Please ensure that all pieces of clothing are clearly labelled, as already within all of our classrooms we have a few pieces of clothing still hanging around which do not have names. Nail polish, it should not be worn, and if your child does come to school wearing nail polish, we will send them to the front office, as it will need to be removed. Our canteen is provided by Merchants Feast, and this is on Wednesdays and Fridays, and you can take advantage of this, but you need to do this through the Quicker app, and it needs to be done online before 7 p.m. They also have amazing take-home meals. If you have a look on Quicker, I could strongly recommend them too. We are a waste-wise school, which means we are working towards ways to become a more sustainable school. Students are requested to bring home all rubbish they bring to school via their lunch boxes. Also, we are an allergy-aware school, so please be aware of that when you pack your child's lunch. And fruit break, please ensure you pack fresh fruit for your child during the day as well. And when we have birthday celebrations, please be aware. At the moment, because of COVID, it's a lot easier for us to hand out either single lollipops or lollies, or a sweet which is contained within a bag, as due to COVID, we cannot handle food. Any medication that you need to send in for your child must be sent through the front office. Please ensure that medication is still in date. If you have medication, you need to fill in a permission form for the front office to dispense to your child. No medication is to be distributed, or we cannot distribute medication as class teachers. So please do not send in any medication through in your child's bag. Right, okay. I'll hand over. Sorry, I'll hand over to Caitlin now.
So hopefully, as everyone is aware, our main platform of communication with families at the moment is through Compass for whole school messages. So please just make sure that you've downloaded that app onto your phone so that you're able to access those messages. That's really useful for things such as when we have wet weather pickup, or you know, those sorts of messages, we're able to get it through there. Phil does talk about this a little bit in her video. So when you watch that on the link that we send you later on, you'll be able to hear from her about that. And last year, hopefully, as you're aware, we started up our Holy Trinity Facebook page, which was a huge success, we think, for our first few weeks of it. And we're hoping to continue that this year. So we strongly encourage you to jump on if you're on Facebook and like or follow our page so that you can see some of those things that we share on there, which is usually things that we want to celebrate as a community. So when it comes to contacting your child's contacting your child's teacher, the best way probably is to get in touch with them, is through email, if it's a non-urgent manner. But please just know that we often don't have time to check our email accounts during the day because, of course, we're face-to-face with your children. But we do all endeavour to reply to emails within 24 hours. Definitely, though, if it's an urgent manner, please contact the front office and they can come and chat to us in the classroom. We also have Seesaw, so I'm sure everyone has had some sort of interaction with Seesaw in the past, but we continue that in 3-4 as well. It does change a little bit, though, for those parents of Year 3 children from Kinder to Year 2, because it's a lot more of the children posting their own work to Seesaw rather than snippets of the day from the classroom teacher. If you're having any issues getting on, though, again, just contact one of us and we can shoot through the invite for you so that you can join the class Seesaw. So this week on Compass, you would have received an invite to make a booking for a parent partnership meeting with your child's teacher. These are open and they close tomorrow afternoon. So if you haven't already booked a time with your child's teacher, we encourage you to do that hopefully this evening after this and make a time. It's really important that you do this because it's your opportunity to talk about your child as we're getting to know them. As you know, later on in the year, we get plenty of opportunities to talk to you about your children. So this is really your chance to let us know all those things about them that you think are important for us to know. So as I said, if you haven't booked that, can you please do that this evening and then try to return this form, the parent partnership meeting form, to us before next week. So you can either just fill that out on your computer and email it back to us or print it off and send it in with your child. So last year we sort of changed the format of our awards to being in weeks 5 and 10. And we're going to continue that in 2022. So we'll have a little awards ceremony in week 5 and 10 of every term to celebrate student learning and personal growth. And we're really hoping that once COVID restrictions ease, we'll be able to have parents back in the school and attending these ceremonies. But in the meantime, we will continue to send you photos of your children if they're receiving an award. Okay, I'm just going to talk now a little bit about the BYOD program, particularly for parents of children in Year 3, because I know this is the first time that your child is bringing their own device to school. So why do we do a bring your own device program? So there's many reasons here. I won't read through all of them because I'm sure lots of you have dinner in the oven waiting for you. So you can just read through that. But really, we feel that it's a really good opportunity for children to take some ownership in their learning, and it really increases student engagement. We also like how a BYOD program allows parents to have more choice. So we're not just restricted to iPads. And then children are able to bring learning to and from school quite seamlessly. Sorry. So please remember that it's really important that your child has a strong protective cover on their device. We all know how clumsy children can be, especially with things that are expensive. So it's really, really important that you have that good protective cover. Student devices must remain in school bags at all times before and after school. Okay, so at no time is a child to be getting out their device when they arrive at school in the morning or when they're dismissed in the afternoon. And in the coming weeks, we're going to be having a cyber safety workshop for all our students in years 3 to 6, just to really upskill them for using the devices. The use of ICT equipment is really a shared responsibility, and I want to take the opportunity to thank all the families who have already completed the ICT agreement, and particularly for sitting down and talking through that agreement with your children. I know that that's time consuming and it's much easier just to sign a form and send it off, but we do really appreciate your partnership with us in making sure that your children understand their responsibility with the device. If you haven't done it though, please can you take some time this evening to read through it and discuss it with your child before signing it. So we do have some required and recommended apps, and we will send these out to you in the note that Ben spoke about that we'll be sending after this session. And we've got a list there of all the ones that they need. And we really ask that you assist your child in downloading these apps. The main ones really are the Google apps, so Google Docs and Google Drive and Google Slides, and then of course Seesaw as well. So children will be receiving their own CE Network login, just like they did last year for remote learning to get onto Microsoft Teams. And that login will allow them access to the apps such as the Google apps I just spoke about and also Seesaw. So this one is really targeted at our Year 3 parents. As you know, we'll have NAPLAN coming up this year for our Year 3 and Year 5 students. It's really essential that prior to NAPLAN happening that you have installed the NAP Lockdown browser, and also that your child brings their own headphones. Sorry, I'm just seeing a question there. I'll come to that in a moment. So I have had lots of people sort of emailing me and asking about options if your child doesn't have a device. It is sort of really an essential part of learning in years 3 to 6, and we would love students to have that opportunity to step up and be responsible for their own device. If there is a financial concern there, please contact Philippa. We do have some class iPads for students to borrow, so it's not the be all and end all if that's something that your family feels is not happening in the foreseeable future. But please know that these are shared devices, so of course there's no guarantee that your child will always have access to it. So for example, as I just mentioned with NAPLAN, that takes priority over classroom learning. The same with our PAT testing, that also takes priority, so your child probably wouldn't have access to a device in those times. And these are just a couple of reminders. So it's just really important that we remind children that their devices are not to be used before and after school. And we also ask that you don't message your child during the school day. If there is an urgent message that you need to get to your child, as we said before, please contact the front office or email your child's teacher. And also when your child is homesick from school, can you also encourage them not to be messaging their friends who are at school? Because when those notifications come through, it can be quite disruptive to the learning happening in class. Okay, so I'll stop ranting about ICT now and I'll talk a little bit about or do you want to talk about it? Okay, Michael's going to talk now about the clubs.
Thanks, Caitlin. All right. Here at Holy Trinity, we're very lucky to run a number of lunchtime clubs. However, due to COVID restrictions, a number of these clubs aren't actually happening. But we're very lucky to have Ben here, who's still running the lunchtime sports clubs, and this is mainly due to it being an outdoor activity. Once COVID restrictions are eased, we're hoping to get started with a Lego club, the Minecraft club, there's an art club. We also have a gardening club, a coding club, and a book club. And these are great alternatives for your children to join in other things that they could do at lunch during the week. If you're a volunteer, once COVID restrictions are eased, we would love to have you come in to help with any units of inquiry. So at the start of every unit of inquiry, we do appreciate the help from you, giving your expert view on some of the central ideas we're inquiring into. And if you see yourself fit for helping out with that, we would love to have you in. But the only thing is, if you are going to come in and help in the classroom, you do need a WWVP card, which can be accessed through Access Canberra.
Right, I might talk a little bit about some of the special things that will be happening in Year 3-4 this year. Just got to talk quickly about a couple of things. First is the Term 4 camps. Obviously, last year when COVID hit, we were busy planning for camp and everything was really ready to go. So it was really disappointing that we had to cancel that for a number of reasons. Obviously, this year you might have read the newsletter today and noticed that swimming sports is also cancelled this year, and the next stage as well. So like most things in a COVID impacted world, that's also affected our camp, which we had hoped to do this term with Year 3 and 4. So what we've done is we're scheduling that now for Term 4. And at this stage, that'll be a Year 4 only camp. Hopefully as time goes on, though, we might be able to incorporate the Year 3s, whether it's just a day program. Probably the next special thing about Year 3-4 is obviously Caitlin talked about it a lot, is the BYOD program. I know every year when you start teaching a class, the kids are so excited to bring in their devices, particularly the Year 3s. So again, when you enter Year 3-4, it's that little bit of extra responsibility that students have. And I think that's really special to the kids. And as parents, you would know, I'm sure they've mentioned to you how excited they are to use their devices. So that's something that's really special to 3-4. Particularly Year 3s, and that continues all the way up until the end of Year 6. Also, what's really important about Year 3-4 is the sacraments that we do. So currently in religion, we're looking at Year 3s are doing the reconciliation program, and the Year 4s, we're starting to talk about the Eucharist program, but that won't happen till later in the year. So that's something else that's really important. And that video that we send to you after, unfortunately for a number of reasons, just wouldn't work, Philippa's video, Father John will also talk in detail about the sacraments as well. So what we might do now is, you've had a fair bit to listen to. I'm sure a few of you have already had students come through 3-4 before. But what we might do is I might stop the share, bring you back, and that way we can ask some questions. What might be best, I think, and if we remember COVID world, is if you post your questions into the chat, and that way myself, Caitlin, and Michael can have a look at them. Might pretend we're a 3-4 class in COVID lockdown. That's what I found would be easiest. So if you're happy to post your questions into the chat, I know we had one before. So do students need to bring their device into school every day? The simple answer to that is yes. It definitely needs to be charged. Some days, obviously, I know there's a few parents out there who, and there's a few teachers out there as well, where we're in 2022 and we try not to use our devices all the time. There's definitely a time for them and definitely a time not for them. But it's definitely really important that they need to bring it to school every day, and they need to show that responsibility and get into that habit of bringing it every day. And it really does need to be charged. I know Caitlin spoke briefly about the BYOD program, but we're also really limited in terms of charges. So if you're if your child turns up to school with 10% charge, it's not going to last very long, and therefore we might not have a laptop or a device in a classroom that's charged properly.
All right, so I can see there's another question put in here about the conferences next week. So the conferences next week, they're not actually about the students learning. They're more an opportunity for you to share with us about your child. So all of you, we're still coming to get to know your children, and this is more of an opportunity for you to share the awesome things about your children to us. Yeah, so
Just scroll.
Sorry, we're just reading. Okay, Kim, to answer your question, so Kim's put a question in here just about what extent or how often are the devices used, and do we have like device-free days, like how we had Wellbeing Wednesdays? I mean, this is me personally, and I'm sure the other two will comment from their point of view for their classroom. The device is there as a tool for learning, but it is not by any means the most important means for learning. So in my classroom, I encourage the kids to bring it every day so that they have it available, but it does not get used every single day. For example, on Fridays, it's probably very limited in how much it's used because we have things like sport and, you know, once we throw that in with our other learning, reading, writing, which like the writing still happens in their book. Reading, I still expect all of my students to read a physical book. Our maths, we do have maths online, but we use that more as a homework program rather than an in-class program. So mostly across those main learning areas, maths, English and religion, the devices aren't used, but they're sort of more heavily used in our units of inquiry, or when we're talking about the writing, if they're publishing a piece of work that they have worked on and gone through that process of drafting, revising, editing in their book, then they're able to publish.
Yeah, just to add on a little bit to Caitlin's response, I think Caitlin sort of nailed it on the head. I think if we were to go through our 3 classrooms and add up and average it over the course of the week, you'd probably be looking at 20 minutes a day, to be honest, Kim. And it's really important at the start of the year that obviously we get the basics right. Year 3, 4 is a really vital age for children, particularly going to year 5, 6. And I think our school is all in agreement that first and foremost, you need to get the basics right before you do anything else. And that obviously includes devices, and devices are just an add-on to our everyday learning program. I can see that got a few more questions here. Damon, I don't have a class coordinator yet for my class, so if you'd like to volunteer for that, that would be fantastic. I'm pretty sure Beulah might send out, or there might be Compass.
Also, I think someone
jumped in. It's Jenny van der Meerberg. I happen to be in your meeting room. I'm the PNF president currently. So encourage anyone who'd like to be a class coordinator. It came out in the newsletter today that the next PNF meeting is on Wednesday in week 4. Please come along. We're always recruiting class coordinators, and they should be in place hopefully after that meeting once we have a whole raft of new people on board. Fingers crossed.
Excellent.
Yep.
Thanks so much,
Thanks,
Jenny.
Otherwise, Damon, it sounds great to me. I think Catherine also, you'd like to put your hand up. Fantastic.
Do you want to answer this one about the 3 books they came home with last week? Yeah,
so Christina is asking a class-specific question there to my class. And I know every class does it differently. Some classes will have a book for every subject. Other teachers will use one book. It's just really to the classroom teacher's preference, how they want to go through and mark books and things like that. I know, Christina, that I use 3 books. My class and students will get another book tomorrow for religion, but other teachers are different in terms of how they use their books and how they go about it. What should we expect for homework this year? So, Damon, homework's going to start in year 5. Week 5, sorry. It's going to be very similar to last year in terms of students getting that sheet that they have on Seesaw. Obviously, reading's really important. So students will be, they should be already really reading for 10 to 15, 20 minutes each night. Students will have to go through and sign that. We'll also have a little form at the bottom for parents to sign that as well. And then we'll also couple that up with maths online tasks. We're also having a chat about what we can do in terms of reading comprehension, how we can link that into homework as well. But homework will start in week 5 and it'll be a fortnightly basis. So, for example, students will get their template sent on a Seesaw on a Monday, and then it will need to be returned the following Friday. So they'll have 2 weeks to complete that. So I hope that answers your question there.
I can answer the one about the club.
Yep.
So I think one of the great things about the lunchtime clubs at Holy Trinity is that they are open for all students from kinder all the way up to year 6. So there's no limit on how many children can come. The only limits really is that the sport clubs, we have designated days for different grade groups, just to keep them playing those sports with their own age kids or their peers. So for example, last year when I was running gardening club, that was on a Wednesday. I think we had 3-4 sport on a Thursday and Minecraft club on a Friday. And I know several students who went to each of those across the 3 different days. So there's no limit on how many they can go to either, other than I guess when the times clash, when there's 2 on at once, they maybe have to make a decision. And certainly we encourage students, so there's a reminder in the morning on the announcements when we do our whole school prayer. And then in my classroom, I certainly encourage the kids and remind them at lunchtime, don't forget this is on, you should go, because otherwise they'd forget about it happening. So no need to enroll them.
Right. If anyone else has any other questions that they're thinking of, can you please post them in the chat? Now, as I said, after this, we'll send you that link to Phil's video to watch the remaining sort of 10 minutes or so of that. You'll also get an information sheet, so you can have a hard copy in front of you after our meeting. But obviously going forward, if there's anything class specific, every teachers are really open, to have that chat to you whenever you need it. And we'll go from there. So obviously we're really excited. We've got 4 really beautiful classes, which is great. And the students started the year really well. I think we've got one more question.
Do they need to bring in their own reading books?
Yeah, so do they need to bring in their own reading books? So what every class would have done at the start of the year is gone through and had a discussion about what a good fit book is for each individual student. They've already had a couple of opportunities now to go into the library and borrow books, but they're more than welcome to bring in books from home, and then they can show their classroom teacher and have a discussion with them whether they think that's a good fit book or not. And obviously that can be changed in the library, and as they go forward that can be talked about with their parents. For example, that's something important to bring up next week on our parent conferences as well.
Yeah, it's a great way, I guess, to encourage their reading, to continue, like have that continuation from home to school, to have that connection. Because sometimes they like bringing in a book to share with their peers at school, but it's not a must. It's kind of optional if they bring a book from home to school. We've got plenty of books at school that they can access as well.
Dario, you've asked, will there be a choir this year? Not too sure, obviously, at this stage. I know COVID restrictions, there won't be much happening in that space in term 1, particularly the start of the year. As time goes on, I'm sure there will be. I'm sure Jenny will get the kids involved like last year, but like most things, it's probably not going to happen this term. Right, if that's the last question, what we might do is we might...
Book week.
Book week.
Book week.
Book week, we'll definitely...
We're all thinking it.
I know. Let's hope it happens.
Yeah.
We missed that boat last year.
Book week's usually...
It's usually in
term 3,
August.
So things are looking good for a good August.
Yeah.
This stage.
But still, you need to get on those costumes because they take hours to sew.
All right, we might wrap it up there. Thank you very much. Particularly the start of the video didn't work, so apologies for that. But what we'll do now is we'll go back and email our classes the information sheet, and we'll also email off Phil's video as well, so you can watch that at any time as you like. Also, this is recorded, so if you know someone who wasn't able to be in the meeting tonight, for example, there's a couple of students who've got parents who've got a child in year 5, and a couple of parents who've got students in year 3 as well. So this will be recorded and posted to you at a later date as well. So once again, thank you for your time. Thanks for listening. Looking forward to a fantastic year. I'm looking forward to catching up with everybody for our parent-teacher conferences next week.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
See you guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, we're still in it on this one. Hang on, let me find out the mute button.